Well, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline here on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller, and I am one of the co-hosts for the Hump Day Hotline. And unfortunately, tonight, my main guy, my main squeeze, my bestie, Jay Spence, the King, is not going to be with us. He is traveling this evening, and he is on the road. My guess is he's going to be in the chat. Is what he says, but it is so good to have you. Look, do me a favor. First and foremost, whatever platform you're on, but primarily on YouTube, hump that like, jump on the like button, and do me the favor of subscribing. We're trying to get our subscriber numbers up, but whatever platform you're on, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, whatever you're watching on tonight, jump on the like button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. And oh, by the way, do me this one quick favor. It's about to go down tonight. So do me the favor of reaching out, retweeting this thing, telling a friend, hey, you got to get in on this thing because we're going to have some conversation tonight that's going to be a lot of fun. And with that, tonight I have the pleasure, nay, the privilege, if you will, of being joined by the Alpha and the Omega.
I'm the Alpha, lady! I'm the Omega, baby!
The beginning and the end, the blue cheese and the buffalo wing, the sugar and the spice. He is everything nice unless you're not nice to him on Twitter. Then you were met with a swift block. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Bruce Exclusive on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network, Bruce Nolan. Bruce, how are you?
I can't breathe. I'm still laughing from the clip. I was not expecting the clip from Bruce Almighty to pop in. What a great way to start. Dude, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am doing well. This has been much anticipated for several weeks because there was the time, obviously, when Jay Spence and I were talking about just taking a running back in this round as far as round one, and you were in the chat, and like I think most of the comment section was against you. The problem is like we went and got Matt Breida, and I had a great conversation with Mookie Hawkins on the Overreaction podcast Sunday Night Live, and back then you were like, just give me a chance to defend myself. And we were like, absolutely. But what's funny is like, and I said this to Mookie, and before we get started tonight, I'd love to know what you think about this. I said to Mookie, and I don't know if you caught it. I don't know how many people in the chat and comment section caught it. But I said, if we had the conversation about Matt Breida a week and a half ago, like, or running backs, nobody back then was like, oh, just go get Matt Breida. Like, if we get Matt Breida, like, problem solved. Matt Breida. All we got to do is get Matt Breida. Meanwhile, we go and we surprisingly sign Matt Breida to a stupidly, ridiculously low contract, which is like mind-numbing at like what being pulled off with this contract. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, we got Matt Breida. We're good. Explain that to me real quick. Like, is Matt Breida really the answer?
It depends on what you think the question is. If the question is, we need to be able to continue to potentially run outside zone and have someone who can put his foot in the ground, break off a long run with the speed and be able to be a one-cut downhill runner, then yes, you got that in Matt Breida. If you just thought the thing that was missing, if the missing ingredient in the run game was someone who can run really fast in a straight line, right, then yes, Matt Breida was the answer. If you think the answer was a certain amount of dynamism that you simply can't get from a Matt Breida quality player,
could you just
then
stop?
In that case,
like, where
then
do you
the answer is no.
Verticality, dynamism, like you come up
these are words, Joe. They're words. And they are God gave us these words so that we may use them to describe running backs.
They are Bruceisms. If I've ever heard of Bruceism, they are Bruceisms. Am I wrong in saying that, though, that like a week and a half ago, nobody was like, just go get Matt Breida. We need Brandon Beane to go get Matt Breida. Nobody was saying that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There wasn't a lot of things out there because I think that, quite frankly, the narrative has a tendency to be a little bit, how do I say this? The narrative has a tendency to be a little bit shallow when it comes to things in the offseason. It rotates from one topic to one topic to one topic to one topic. And it was so focused on make sure you draft Travis Etienne at 30.
Right.
That you weren't even paying attention to whether or not there was speed available for there. And then all of a sudden you sign Matt Breida and you go, well, does that do it? Like, are we good now? And if you hadn't taken the time to think about ahead of time what it is exactly that you wanted to accomplish, then you wouldn't necessarily have the answer. You would just jump at, do I like it or do I not like it? Or you would just expose your predisposition to fanboying or fangirling over whatever it is that the team does, or being a negative Nancy about whatever the team does, which is just, your basic disposition as it is. So I agree with you. I don't think that there were people out there going, guys, all we got to do, now hear me out. All we got to do is sign Matt Breida and we'll be fine. No one said that.
Right.
But when it happened, then they started to retroactively reevaluate why they wanted a running back in the first round to begin with. And some people ended up falling off the wagon. And some people said, nah. Matt Breida isn't going to satisfy the hankering that I've got for, I got a fever. And the only prescription is Travis Etienne, I gotta have more Etienne, right? That's the way that some people feel about this.
Right.
And other people like Matthew Beck are team trade down, and other people are CB2, and other people are different things. And there's Jay Spence.
What the heck?
Hey,
hey, quiet.
What's going on?
Don't give it away, Jay Spence. Yeah, I'm surprised that you're in here because you told us you were not going to make it.
I wasn't gonna make it, and I made it. I'm happy.
well, interestingly enough, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to be talking once. We're going to be debating once and for all, settling all the ongoing debate, running back in round one or not. To be honest, my opinion has changed, but this is the part that Jay Spence didn't know because I had a surprise. I was bringing in a ringer tonight. And there he is.
Oh, let's get it.
Because I was not gonna there's the scene from Star Trek, right? The Wrath of Khan, where it's like yours is superior. Like I'm not here to match wits with Bruce Exclusive. So I had to find me a guy that could help me in this conversation.
No, and that's good. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna stay long. I just popped in to say I love y'all and y'all representing, and I was gonna try to have a little bit, but you got Joe, so I don't even need to do that. I'm out of place.
Stick around, Spence. Joe Marino, how are you tonight?
I'm good, and I'll tell you what, Bruce's face says it all. You can just the guy's stunned. Did not expect to see me tonight, and you could just see it.
Bruce?
I feel very ganged up on right now.
Yes.
I know that was the intent of what happened, but I do feel very ganged up on right. Yeah, but you know what? I will defend myself against all uncomers. Bring any challenger. Bring the challengers. I'm like the kid at the arcade who just stood there playing Ryu and just going, Hadouken, next. Hadouken, Shoryuken, next. Over and over again. I will take your quarters. Let's go.
I can sum up Bruce Exclusive right here.
I'm the alpha, lady! I'm the Omega, baby!
We'll see. We're about to find out.
I just freaking love that movie. It's like the best movie.
It's such a great movie.
It is.
So let's get into it. So we're talking on the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. I'm joined by my co-host Jay Spencer King, who is a surprise. We weren't expecting him. And by Joe Marino, who is a surprise. And I tweeted a little bit ago, the bonus word for tonight is ringer. And that's my guy. Joe Marino is my ringer for tonight. And
I got it right the first time.
And then we got Bruce Exclusive. So Bruce, I think you want to open the show. As far as that goes. So I think you're going to start the topics tonight as far as running back in the first round. Why not? I'm going to give you the floor, and then we're going to not pile on, but we're going to retort, right? Is that what we're talking about?
I guess all three of you are going to retort, but bring it on, man. I need to get myself another caffeinated beverage of some sort to be ready for all this. But as it is important to do with any argument, it's important to first frame the argument correctly. And the first thing that I want to make sure I get out of my mouth so we can make sure we're actually having an even playing field discussion is that the running back in the first round argument, yay or nay, is really about value. It's not about talent. So sometimes you have to make sure that you're actually having the same argument as someone else, because anyone who's been married for any sort of length of time realizes that very, very quickly, sometimes in your conversations with your spouse, you realize you're not even arguing about the same thing. We're not even having the same conversation right now. And it's very important that you set the stage appropriately for whatever the argument is going to be. In this case, it is that the argument about running backs not being a position that I want to draft in the first round under any circumstances is a value argument. It is not a talent argument, which means that no response or retort can be made saying, well, he's a good player. I know he's a good player. This has nothing to do with whether or not he's a good player. This has never been about whether or not Travis Etienne or Najee Harris or Devontae Williams or anybody else is a good player. It wasn't about that when it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jonathan Taylor last year. It wasn't about it this year. It's never been about whether or not the player is talented. It's instead a value argument. Value is two sides of the coin, what you give and what you get. Talent is only one side of the coin, what you get. So if you only argue from a position of talent, if you only say, wait, Bruce, look how good this guy is, you are missing half of the argument necessary to determine whether or not the resource allocation is appropriate. And that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about whether or not they're a good player. We're not talking about whether or not they'll help the offense. We're talking about whether the resource allocation used on that position is good. Is that a good idea? Is it an appropriate use of limited resources? And that's the key, is limited resources. You only have one first-round pick. So what you give versus what you get. What you give is the first-round pick and the opportunity cost that comes along with not spending it on something else. Right. So can we agree before we even get started that this is a value discussion, not a talent discussion?
Yes.
I'm in disagreement.
Well, I'll agree.
Marino. Spence agrees. Marino. I love his voice. I'm a Marino fan.
I agree with you to an extent. I do think the reason we're here tonight to have this conversation is the practical application as it relates to the Buffalo Bills. Yes. And I think that variable is really important. And so that's where I'm interested in, because Bruce, man, you know I agree with you. And I don't know if you know where I stand on this running back in the first round thing. But the context that exists with this current Buffalo Bills team affects the way I think about it.
I understand that. A lot of people have I don't want to spend a first round pick on a running back, but this is different. A lot of people have that particular, I've seen this from people who were adamantly first round running back, poo-pooers, I guess. And then this year,
I am too.
This year it's different. They say, well, the circumstances surrounding the team are different. So what I'm going to outline in my, gosh, I can't believe I'm going to repeat what I'm going to outline in my outline. What I'm going to outline in my argument is that we perceive this year to be different, but it's not actually different.
Okay. I need to stop. So I'm going to go next, right? So we're talking about value. It's not about value. And for me, this year is different, and this year's different on many levels. And as much as I want to say this year's different on many levels, this year is different because of one name, Brandon Beane. Like, what he has done with this entire roster is borderline masterful. The holes that we have on this roster are not exactly guys you would go after in the first round. The biggest hole we have is potentially CB2, right? For sure. We're all going to agree, tight end. We're not going tight end in the first round. CB2 is an option, but the chances of us finding another Tre'Davious White at 27 or 30, like we did before, are probably slim. This is what I would say as it pertains to value. And this is just me, a little bit of research that I did. The first thing I want to talk about is salary. While you can get a much lower salary from a third rounder, I would argue that the Bills are going running back, or I would argue that the Bills going running back at 30 is a far cry from going running back at top 5 and top 10. And I think, to me, I've always been, you never go running back in the first round. I think all of us, like anybody that knows anything about football, understands the draft football and understands value, is like, you don't go running back like in the first round. But I think that's recency bias, is a word that like Greg Thompson and Spence likes to use all the time. I think it's because we're so used to drafting somewhere between, not 5 necessarily, but somewhere between 8 and 15. Like 8 and 15, I'm not going running back. Because if you're drafting 8 to 15, you've got a problem on your football team. More than likely, your problem on your football team is depth, right? So like just like slapping a weapon into that isn't necessarily going to give you or put you in a situation or a position to where like drafting a running back that high is going to like make a huge significant difference. However, at 30, you've got depth. AFC Championship game. If I can give you numbers just for a second, the number 5 draft pick this year, number 5, is expected to make his salary, $29.1 million, $18.5 million signing bonus. Way too much to pay a running back in the first round, in my opinion. Unless your name is Saquon Barkley, maybe Christian McCaffrey, the value just isn't there. Number 30, 11.5. 11.5 for probably a 4-year contract, 5.4 million signing. Here's the thing. This is where I want you to chain on. 61. So it's a 60% drop. 29.1 to 11.5. It's a half drop to 61. 61 at number 61, 5.5 million, $1.3 million signing. And how about this? You go to 4, like so 93, 4th round, 4.7 million. With an $822,000 signing. To me, the value changes because of that number 30 pick. That 30 pick is different, right? Like you're not talking $30 million over 4 years. You're talking 11.
Yeah, if you only define value by salary, then yes.
Value's
I would
important.
agree with that.
I have more. I can go on.
But value,
but I guess I'm sorry because
Go
I'm
ahead,
gonna leave as well. But that was that was the question I was going to ask Bruce, because I agree with you that this question is a question about value. But the thing is, I feel that some fans value what a running back of the caliber of a ECN or whoever. I feel that people value what that could bring to this team. They value it more than you, which is okay. And I know you tend to explain why you don't take a running back at 30, and you tend to explain why the value wouldn't be there. But for this team, I personally, and I know I've been wrong a lot, and I've been right a lot with you recently. This last month, I've been right a ton. But I feel that a running back for this team, we don't have major holes in a ton of areas on this team. Pass rusher, yes, I'm with you. Yeah. Cornerback 2, would I like to upgrade? I don't think we have a hole. Would I like to upgrade? Yes. I like the signing today. I like the linebacker signing. I like what Brandon Beane is a wizard, but I value what a running back, a dynamic guy in the backfield would do for this team over the value of maybe another position. So I guess I don't even know if that was a question, but I'll leave it there, and then I'll wait for your response, but I'll watch it on YouTube instead of like be here for it. I love you guys. Have a good night, man.
Always leaving us. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I love y'all.
Love you, Spence.
All right.